outro today. I don't have the energy for it. Oi, oi, bruv. Fancy a wee movie about a British gangster? Righto. Well, you're here, Charlie. Here is the story of notorious British gangster Charlie Richardson, who was active in South London in the 60s. He was so notorious that even the other notorious gang, consisting of two twins called the Krays, steered clear of them. Or was he? The movie tells the story by cutting court footage in and out with periods in his life, from his childhood, his parents, up to the point he got incarcerated, flashing events from other people in between to make it a modern, almost Guy Ritchie kind of movie. It's fast-paced and cool but competently done, thus never annoying like some other movies. This being a crime movie, there is of course a lot of crime shown. There's shooting, torture, fighting, stealing, all that jazz. Throughout the film there's a sense of conspiracy and powers at being interfering and distorting the narrative. The ending and real-life accounts of his gang and person will clarify more on the supposed truth of it all. Overall, Charlie is a good British crime movie, and for lovers of the genre this is definitely one to check out. Check that. A review of The Orphan Killer says, The Orphan Killer is a tour de force murder flick that defies classification. It goes far beyond current trends in gore and breaks open a new suffering genre of horror. Well, that's quite a statement, isn't it? Was this written in 2011 when it was released, or later? I don't know, but I'm sure I've seen movies that predate this one that do the same thing, and do them better. The Orphan Killer takes us to a Catholic orphanage where a teacher walks around dressed in a very short skirt and fishnets. She sees a weird man standing in the garden, and then people die at the hand of a masked man who loves to whistle and snore when he walks. He is a powerhouse, much like Jason Voorhees, an unstoppable force, and that's even more clear due to the loud metal riffs you can hear while he does his thing, or when he is around. The reasons why he is such a mean man are quite obvious, and without spoiling I'll just say what I said earlier. Catholic orphanage. Why he is chasing the extremely attractive fishnet lady played by Diane Foster, who by the way gets a shower scene cause that belongs in a movie like this, is explained later in the movie with an accompanying metal riff of course. The Orphan Killer is as gory and violent as you expect it to be. If you ever saw a Halloween movie, you can add a little bit more blood and guts. I've seen much worse movies than The Orphan Killer, so I wouldn't say this is a movie you should pass, but it's most certainly dangling at the bottom of movies you must watch first, especially thanks to the excruciatingly long ending sequence. I mean, goddamn. Drop that. Back in the old days we had some very spectacular end-of-the-world movies where science overstepped and caused the world to plummet into total destruction. The Crack in the World is such a movie, and even though there's little true scientific fact in these films, it's bloody good entertainment. In Crack in the World, a group of scientists wish to solve the Earth's energy problem by digging a hole to the Earth's crust in order to harness the unlimited power within the lava and magma. Using nuclear bombs, their attempt backfires and it creates a crack in the world. Epic destruction ensues, well, as epic as you could get back in those days, and our main cast tries to remedy the mistake they made. Will they save the world, or will it all end in tears? Find out. Go watch Crack in the World, and while you're at it, watch The Day the Earth Caught Fire 2, cause that one's great as well. Check that. Written by Luc Besson and starring John Reno, this 2001 movie called Wasabi takes a no-nonsense, rule-bending French cop on a forced sick leave after the love of his life dies. Having to travel to Japan for her funeral, he gets presented with what could very possibly be his daughter, who, in part, inherited a large amount of money some nasties want to take from them. In comes Reno's character that will put a stop to it. Wasabi is a very colourful bubblegum-like movie showing the idealized version of Japan that we all know and love. It's either humoristic or action-packed, as we have Reno shooting and punching through the baddies like LA tilde copyright on crack. The plot is quite simplistic and nothing you haven't seen before, but the movie overall is enjoyable enough to keep your attention, if not only for Reno's charisma. The actress who plays his daughter was, at least for me, sometimes a little bit hard to understand due to her accent, but that's not really a big deal. Overall, Wasabi is a slightly dated movie that's competent enough to at least keep your enjoyment for its duration. Not the best movie, definitely not the worst. Check that. The Perfect Host brings us David Hyde Pierce, you know, the psychiatrist from Frasier, in a role that fits him quite well. A criminal on the run from the cops, wounded and desperate, finds his way into the home of a seemingly unsuspecting man who is getting ready for a private party. The helpful man allows him into his abode, but it becomes clear quite fast that our host has some secrets up his sleeve. Off begins a cat and mouse game between a criminal and what appears to be a not-so-normal citizen. Unfortunately for me, that premise derailed a little bit as we are shown what the host is actually like. In a way not unsurprising, but still not the route I would have taken, but I guess that route was a little too much like another movie I have once seen. Later on there's even another plot twist that quite frankly is hard to swallow, but hey, it's a movie. Not everything has to make sense, I guess. The Perfect Host is an okay movie, and that's about it. The acting is okay. The plot is okay. The end is okay. It's just okay. Watch if you have nothing better to watch. Check that. When people heard there would be a Chucky series, many of them figured it would be a woke mess. This sentiment only increased when it came out that it would have a lot of queer content. I'm quite the fan of Chucky, and not having learned my lesson, masochist that I am, I decided to give it a try, and I was pleasantly surprised. Chucky comes back as the cute but deadly doll as a play pal to Jake Wheeler, a 15-year-old boy who lives with his abusive drunk father. Yanokor's dad's a bad, okay? Oh, and he is also a weirdo who makes puppets, and he is gay. Yes. He is a homosexual, and this is where the queer comes in. There's a lot of that, but unlike many people would think, it's not propaganda. Chucky befriends the kid and comes out as an ally. Anyone who knows Chucky, however, knows that he's not really a trustworthy person, though. More on that later in the season. So yes, we have queer kids, straight kids, black kids, brown kids, good kids, little kids with knives, bad kids, white kids, and a whole slew of cameos from the previous movies. It's dark, it's funny, it feels like the movies. Charles Lee Ray is still his devious self, and there's plenty of surprises to keep you occupied. And most of all, and I repeat myself, it's not beating you over the head with some kind of agenda. Chucky the Series is fun, and with an open mind you quickly forget the queer bait it was marketed as. There's one scene that rubbed me the wrong way, but that's because I'm a grown robot looking at actual 15-year-olds having one kiss. Back in the day when I was 15 we did worse, but it's weird to see it on a syndicated show for millions. Even though we have all seen more in many other series and movies, it's weird how the brain works. I'm glad to say as well that there will be more Chucky, as it has been greenlit for a second season. Let's hope the same quality remains during that run as it did during this one. Go watch it. Smash that. After the success of Squid Game, a lot of mainstream media has been jumping on the Korean bandwagon, being amazed at the quality of shows and movies other countries have to offer. We, the people with a brain and a healthy dose of curiosity, already figured this out a decade ago and have been enjoying non-Hollywood media for a long time. So I saw the Squid Game killer headline in several places and decided to see what it was all about. Hellbound is a series where the premise is that an angelic face appears to you and warns you of the moment of your death. Not only will you die, you will also be sent to hell by three brutish-looking beasts that come straight out of Warcraft, who destroy your environment and pummel you to death before burning out your soul, or something like that. Cue religious zealots, scared people, fake religion, and a whole lot of talking. Unfortunately, it's boring and, ironically, soulless. The premise to this show is amazing, but the execution is so half-assed and unoriginal that it's incredible how they could have missed the ball this hard. Instead of showing the world living under this sword of Damocles, we fast forward and see some religious nutjobs take control over the population. And talking, a whole lot of talking. It's quite simply not interesting at all, and a far cry from the fun, character-driven, contrastful story and world that was Squid Game. The show had one compelling thing, and it was purely because I am a parent myself, but that came in way too late and the conclusion left much to desire. The conclusion in general isn't fulfilling at all, mainly cause it ends on a damn cliffhanger. Get ready for season 2, I guess. I'm not inclined to watch it though. Drop that. Amazon Women on the Moon isn't some kind of 60s science fiction spoof of a bunch of astronauts going to the moon finding lusty and busty Amazon women residing there. Well, to be honest, it kinda is, but not right away. Amazon Women on the Moon is a spoof film where a whole bunch of sketches are linked together to make a quite amazing and enjoyable comedy that had me chuckle more times than I expected. To explain Amazon Women on the Moon is quite hard since there isn't really a plot. It's a look into movies, series and media from a bygone era, with poignant satire sprinkled through it. It has a very large and well-known cast with famous people such as Arsenio Hall, Rosanna Arquette, Michelle Pfeiffer, B.B. King, and many more. There's also boobies, glorious 80s boobies, and crude politically incorrect jokes and comments. Amazon Women on the Moon didn't do great when it was released, and it was overall looked at as a mediocre movie, but I suspect that modern audiences will have a lot more fun watching this movie than the quite frankly spoiled viewers of the mid to late 80s. And with a title like Amazon Women on the Moon, why wouldn't you watch it? Smash that. A year after we got snakes on a plane, a very clever person decided to put zombies on a plane. And lo and behold, in the vein of Night of the Living Dead, we got Flight of the Living Dead, where a bunch of evil scientists created a virus that regenerates dead cells. And they tried it out on someone else, and of course they are transporting her on a commercial flight. And much to your surprise, I bet, things will go wrong. Horribly wrong. Zombies escape. People die. Come back to life. People shoot, people scream, people run, albeit not very fast since they're on a goddamn plane. But planes in movies are always so big, it makes a real plane look even more like a tin can of death. Movie magic though, am I right? Flight of the Living Dead is a no-nonsense zombie romp stomp where cliché copyright characters and stereotypes do their thing in a surprisingly enjoyable horror movie with some maybe unintentional comedic moments. Go check it out, you won't be disappointed. Check that. Eye of the Beholder gives us Ewan McGregor as an intelligence agent who brings in information and blackmail on socialites to some unknown group. And he has this fancy camera that's like a sniper rifle, but also a camera and a telescope and stuff. During one of his missions, he notices a very attractive woman, played by Ashley Judd, kills a man and pursues her to find out more information. He discovers there's something more to her than just a one-time killer, and while he already is haunted by visions of his lost daughter, he becomes more and more obsessed. What follows is an almost dreamlike movie that feels extremely disjointed at times. Why the characters react the way they do is often mysterious and doesn't seem to make sense. Based on the French movie Deadly Circuit, and uses a storytelling technique called magical realism, where the world is depicted realistic with some fantastical elements added to it to blur the perceived reality. Knowing this brings a lot more sense to the movie, even though it left me scratching my head at the end. As a mystery movie kinda works. Maybe you will find some meaning in it that I did not, but personally I didn't find any. It was kinda surrealistic even though nothing surreal happened. It was weirdly compelling, and not only due to the presence of Ashley Judd and the acting of Ewan McGregor. Check it out and let me know what you think. Check that. There, that was that. And I bought myself a dozen new Duracell batteries, so you'll at least have a decent intro and outro next time.